This video is about calculating the Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient, often just called correlation coefficient or R, using the TI-Nspire calculators. I am using this software. I think it's turned on to like the CX2, but it's pretty much the same for all of the different TI calculators, the TI-Nspire calculators, not all TI calculators. Okay, so we have here some data that's given. It's only 5 points because this is a textbook exercise to practice. In real life, you would need way more than 5 data points. So to do this on the calculator, we want to go to lists and spreadsheets. And if you didn't have that new menu because you're not starting fresh, you press the on button and come down to this green table looking thing. It is your choice. You can choose to come up here to name it whatever you want to name it. In this example, it has business math. So maybe I call it BMath. Whatever you name it here, make sure to use at least 2 letters. If you only use 1 letter, your calculator is going to get confused between what you entered here and its name that it has for columns. So I call it BMath, and then I press tab to come over here to the next one. Economics is what I have, so maybe I do econ. And I want to enter my data down here. Be careful, we don't want to be putting anything in this equals to column right now. That is for when you're putting a function that's going to actually calculate something. So I type my numbers, I have 83, enter. When you want to go to the next tab, use this enter button down here. So 83, 56, 79, 42, 67. Coming back up to here, we've got 58, 63, 46, 80, and 57. So each pair of numbers represents a single observation. This is about 5 students. So for example, this student, one single student got an 83 in business math and a 58 in econ. And a different student got a 56 in business math and a 63 in econ. So sometimes you'll see a table where on top here, it has another column with just an identifier for the people, like house number 1, number 2, or student A, student B. We don't care about the identifier. We don't put that in our data. Here, we only put the values of the different things we were measuring about each person. So once I have my data in, you can simply calculate R here on this page. But in part A of this example, it wants us to draw a scatter plot. So we may as well have the calculator do a scatter plot for us. We can get an idea of what we'd expect to get for our R value. So I go back to this house button, the on button, and I come down to this pink graph with the bar chart. This is where I'll do my statistics graphs. And then I'm using a mouse, so it's a lot easier. If not, you have to come over here to the middle of this and sort of like touchpad down to the bottom of the screen. It's a little annoying. I'm going to click, and here I choose the X variable. In the table we were given, neither of them is called X, so we typically assign the top row to the X. It was called math. Now I have to come over here, and I choose econ. And now it places all my points on here. So there's only 5. It's not a very good representation, but they are going downhill. Besides this one, they're making a really nice straight line, and then this one's kind of off. So I expect my R value to be negative, quite negative, maybe negative 0.8-ish. We can find out. So we're looking here at the scatter plot, and we can see what we have here. You could calculate a regression line here, but that is not my preferred way to do it. And for this video, we are not actually calculating the regression line. I'm going to come back here to 1.1. You can use this middle part to sort of touchpad up to 1.1, or you can press Control left to move to the next tab over. Now that I'm back here, I will actually calculate the R value. I go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, and have a choice. This R value is calculated inside 2 variable statistics, and it is also calculated inside these linear regressions. It will appear in all the places. It really depends on what the rest of the question says. This particular question does not ask for a linear regression line. It's just asking for this information about R. So it doesn't matter what I pick. I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 variable statistics. XList. XList was my business math. It was in column A. I know it was in the first column. That's where I entered it. So I could leave this as column A. And in the second one, I could put B with those square brackets. And that would work just fine. Except when I come down here, I don't want those results to come on top of where I already wrote in columns A and B. This needs to be C or D or E, something further down the alphabet. However, if you don't like using the column names, coming here, if you press this right arrow on your calculator, it's going to bring your list of variables. It was business math. So I could choose business math. And then because you're inside a list here, it's a better idea to use tab to move to the next one. I can press the right button and I can choose econ. And that's everything I need. I don't have a frequency. This wasn't a frequency table. I personally typed out every single observation, which was only 5, but still. So I can go all the way down to the bottom of the screen and press OK, or I can just be cheating and click enter. And now be careful about where you end up. It's possible that it shoots you back out and you're like way down here on your screen and you don't know what's happening. Just press the up or the down key to see all the rest of the variables. So it's calculated a lot of things, but I'm looking for R. So the R value calculated here is negative 0.871 if I round to 3 decimal places, which is more or less what I expected. This was going downhill. It's pretty tight together, except that one. So a value for R of negative 0.871, yeah, that's okay. I don't see here the R squared value. In order to get R squared, I would either have to square this or do the linear regression. We'll do a linear regression in a different video. So for right now, say I just want to copy this. I'm going to click in here. I'll click Control C to copy it, and I'll just do a quick calculation. Now I will paste with Control V, just like a calculator, square that value. There is a weird minus sign or equal sign, and I also, negative numbers always need to be inside brackets when I'm squaring them. So that value squared is 0.758. My R squared value is 0.758. So looking back at this example that we're doing, part A, draw a scatter plot. You could, of course, draw it by hand, but we have it here on our calculator. Determine the values of R and R squared. We calculated the R value here inside our spreadsheet, and we went to the scratch pad to square it to get our R squared. And then lastly, we should describe the association between the performance of these 5 students. So if we want to use our 4 words to describe correlation, this would be a strong negative linear correlation. And if we want to do it in context, the idea is the higher this math score is, the higher the business math, it's sort of getting lower in economics. So the association that we're noticing is that higher business math scores seem to be correlated with lower econ scores. So this is correlation, not causation. We don't know why this happens. It's not that a high score in math causes you to get a lower score in economics, simply that we are noticing that there's a relationship between these variables.